Welcome back. It's Duke and Dave coming to you live from Piedmont. It's been 3 weeks since my last update, so I have a lot to go over. Some of these I'll take you on a tour, but some of them are just work done that can't really take you on a tour. So since we last met, I installed the tank heater pads. We'll do an update when we get to the camper for those. I helped my neighbor chop some firewood. So for that, I had to get my chainsaw working, my four-wheeler, put a little cart on the back, and made a chainsaw holder that would ride on the back of the four-wheeler so that I could go out and help my neighbor cut some firewood. That's my neighbor. Dick and Barb live at the bottom of the hill, so that's the neighbor that I know the best. And he ended up getting a deer during deer season, so I went down there, and his friend Rusty was able to clean his deer for him, so I got to see that. And I brought my trusty knife that was a groomsman gift from my friend Steve now. But I dug this out of storage, cleaned it off, brought that down there. I didn't end up getting to use it though, so I'll have to get my own deer to use that, I guess. But now I keep this near my door in case I need it. As you can see, the lake, maybe you can't see, the lake is a lot fuller right now. Not this last week, but the week before. We had a bunch of cloudy days and a couple days that had over an inch of rain each. And so, with all that rain, it filled up the lake. It was about 6 inches below the drain pipe at the end of the lake. And I had a big yoga ball in the drain pipe. But after the week before last, I looked across the lake. I couldn't even see the blue yoga ball at all. So I had to take the kayak out there, and sure enough, the ball was underwater. So I pulled the plug out of the ball, and that drained a whole bunch of the water. I don't want it running over the overspill. But I'll take you on a tour and show you the lake and some very beautiful changes, because I haven't seen the lake since springtime be this full, and I was really surprised how quickly it filled up. So right now we're walking down to my spring reservoir. Over here, I've winterized the whole water tank system. But the week before last, the water was coming in so good it was overflowing this whole thing. That spring and this spring, which are also little streams, were flowing pretty good. And up here at my rock cliff, there were waterfalls. It was beautiful sound just hearing the waterfall and the little stream. But all that happened after like 2 days. Each day had about an inch of rain. And yeah, I should have got it on video, but the next rain I'll probably have a chance to do that. But it was nice just hearing the sound of the waterfall. I could see it. I couldn't go over there because I was working during the week, but I could see it through the trees now, because they've all dropped their leaves. And I walked down here and I saw this overflowing. The lake water was about up to this rock right here. And when I didn't see the blue ball in that drain pipe at the end of my lake, I was like, it's time to take the kayak. So on my lunch break, I took the kayak across the lake and went to where the drain is, and sure enough, the the water level had gone up probably 2, maybe 3 feet within a week. But I took the yoga ball out of the drain, water started flowing out there and draining. So that was one thing I did the week before last. And let's get back to our list of things to go over. The next thing I did, so Thanksgiving was last Thursday, and that was the last warm day that we had before a whole week of like freezing temperatures. So here is the shock shack that I moved over. On a Saturday, my internet service just 5G, couldn't get 5G, couldn't even get cell service for about an hour. I think they were doing maintenance or something. So I tested out my Starlink because last time I used it, it was up on that perch in the tree, and it had since fallen down. So I wired it up, brought a battery bank out here, hooked up the modem, and I didn't reactivate my service, but it did a test of the antenna and updated some software, and there were no errors. So that's good to know that I might have a backup Starlink in case the cell service dies. Had a burn barrel this weekend, so that cleaned out some stuff. I had a lot of Amazon boxes. On Thanksgiving itself, the last warm day, I came in here to the chicken coop, cleaned out a whole bunch of probably 4 months worth of chicken doo-doo. And as you can see, I put a whole bunch of straw down. That's what you're supposed to do to chickens. Don't need to have a heater, but they need some insulation. So this was my project on Thanksgiving. But I haven't had any eggs in about a week. Miss Hen is the only chicken that's still laying eggs, and she's molting right now, so she's very sluggish. She likes to stay in the coop. Every morning I come out and let the chickens out, and then at nighttime I come and close the gate. Hopefully you can see the gate there, but I don't want predators getting in here, so every night I come, close the gate, close the fence, and every morning I open the fence and open the gate, let the chickens out. But Miss Hen has been very sluggish. She's molting. I can see feathers falling off, and she's growing new ones. So when they molt, they don't lay eggs because all their energy is towards building new feathers. Alright, the next thing to go over is updates near the camper. So, the biggest update at the camper. Alright, here you see, this is a new purchase recently, a 100-gallon propane tank, or a 100-pound propane tank. And one over here, because with freezing temps, I don't want to run out of propane. But this last week, I went to one of these 30-pound propane tanks, ran out, and I went to swap it out with the 100-pound and realized I don't have the right hose and adapter for that. So fortunately, I have backup smaller tanks, and I have ordered the right hose and adapter, and that'll come later this week. Alright, the biggest update for the camper, I finally figured this out on Friday. My last video, I put all the heating pads on all my tanks, and I tested them in the low temperature, and the only one that was working was this one on the back of the camper. These 3 heating pads all came in one box with the switch, and then I ordered an extra heating pad for that one, and that was the only one working. And I couldn't figure out these other ones, so finally on Friday, I crawled up under the camper, unstuck the heating pad from the tank, and connected it directly to this battery, and the heating pad worked. So I knew it wasn't a heating pad problem, probably wiring. And I went to Amazon to see what the reviews were saying, because I was going to return them if they didn't work. And it had the right wiring diagram for these switches. The instructions they sent in the packaging itself was not correct. So once I figured out the pad worked, and I got a heat gun that could tell me, because the pads only turn on when it's cold enough, so I couldn't test it on a warm day, and when I run the heat inside, it heats up the undercarriage. So I had to make sure that the temperature sensor was low enough and that the switch was on before I could test it. I finally figured that out. I had the positive back here that goes to the battery and the one that goes to the heating pad swapped. So I swapped them back, tested it, and sure enough, it worked. So today's Sunday. That's what I did yesterday, was crawled under here, restuck the pad that I took off, rewired it because I had to cut the wires to get it out, and then went and taped up all the cuts I made in the undercarriage, made sure the insulation was in there. Got all that done yesterday. The other thing I did yesterday was drain my freshwater tank for the, or not freshwater, but gray water tank for the kitchen. And that's right here. And the tank itself was fine, but the valve is here and the pipe is here. The pipe was frozen. So when I opened that up to drain it, nothing came out. And I knew that it was close to full because I have the gauges inside the camper. And so I ended up coming inside here to the camper. I opened up these drawers and put my Mr. Buddy heater, blowing warm air in there because this gets really cold on the cold days. But the tank heater is under there, or the tank is under there, so I warmed that up. And then last night was the first night that we had temperatures above freezing, and finally I was able to drain it this morning fully. So I drained that one, and I drained the one over here that goes for the shower and the sink. And now my panel, battery, full, that's good. Freshwater tank, 2/3, that's plenty good for now. Black water, empty, that's good. Gray 1, that's the one that I drained. It says it's 1/3 full, but I know it's empty, so unless there's ice in there somehow. Same thing with gray 2. I drained both the gray tanks. It says 1/3 full, so I'm not sure if there's ice on those sensors or what, but they're drained as much as I can drain them on this unfreezing day. One thing I did do on Thanksgiving as well was filled up all the water tanks, the water tank under here, and I had to roll up all my hoses. And so I had, because it still wasn't freezing temperatures at night, my potable water hose running from my shed to the camper, and that worked good for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, until freezing temps. I had to undo that. But I did not have to fill this up, because from my video, I think it was 2 videos ago, when I installed the accumulator in there, I also installed a bypass valve, and that allowed me to fill up my fresh water tank without moving the hose around, so that was kind of nice. Next thing in the camper, this Mr. Buddy heater works really good. It's very efficient. The heater that's built into the camper is under this seat here, and this actually puts heat into the underbelly of the camper to keep the tanks from freezing. So I do need to run that when my heater pads aren't working, which I ran it quite a bit because I didn't want those tanks freezing. But this one, if the temperatures are above freezing, running this one is a lot more efficient. The only problem is the propane is a wet heat. So if I run this all the time, everything condenses on my windows. So I ended up buying a little RV dehumidifier. So if I'm running this, I can run the dehumidifier. Next update here, as you can see, my board is getting pretty good on my to-do list. The big one that I'll probably work on today is the solar panel frame, and then I have another one to add to this that I'll go over at the end of the video. Here's an update. I did get my hunting license this season. For Missouri, you have to take an online course, and that took about 6 hours because everything's timed. You can't click through things. You can read it, and then you have to wait for the timer to stop. But I did get my hunting license this year, and I watched my neighbor skin a deer, but I still don't know how to gut one, and I don't have a freezer, deep freeze, to hold all the meat yet. So I did not get a deer this season. But I was ready, just in case. Alright, the next update to go over is out here. In the shock shack. I finally ran out of electricity for the first time. I usually do a pretty good job monitoring it. But on a Sunday morning, I lost power in the camper, and I came out and checked my battery levels, and they were empty. And it seemed to drain a lot faster than usual, so looking into it, I found out that this little converter here, it powered my light here, and it powered this diesel heater. And it shorted out. The fuse that went into this little fuse box here was burned out, so I went to replace that, and when I put in the new fuse, I got a big spark, and the fuse kind of shot out. So that little inverter was the cheapest one that I could find on Amazon, and I ended up having to get another one here because I need the 12 volts in order to power the diesel heater that heats this whole insulated shed. So I ordered some wires. I don't like how this is. I need to wire it up on the board, but my wires came in, they got delayed, and they came in after the inverter. So in here I got wiring to wire this correct, and I got some water pumps to pump fresh spring water without using the big gas trash pump, because it's so much work to prime that 20-foot section of 2-foot PVC and run the hose up. So I bought some little water pumps that hopefully with garden hose I can fill up this water tank in here a little easier. Here I got a new solar charger. This one is the one that takes the input from the water turbine. It's the same one from a few videos ago where, let's see if I can find it. I don't see it, but the solar charger, it has solar and, oh, it's this one here. This one here, I accidentally short-circuited trying to hook up that same inverter. But this one takes wind and solar. But for me, the wind, it's alternating current, but that's my hydro generator. So in this box is another one of these, replacement one. So those are more projects to come. You see all my white hoses are nice and wound up in here. That's my 5-micron filter. When I need to fill up my fresh water tank in the camper, I have to unwind these hoses, run the hose up to my camper to fill that up. That does bring me to a good point. So one thing that I've been working on is backups. Every system I like to have backups. This heater here, when the inverter blew a fuse and broke, short-circuited, I didn't have power to heat this, and this couldn't heat the shed. So I do have a backup there, which I can plug in and heat the shed using electricity, but if my battery is dead like it was the other day, that one won't work. So I have an extra Mr. Buddy heater in here, and I tried hooking that up, found out that this hose that I got from Walmart doesn't work with this Mr. Buddy heater. I think there's a clogged orifice or something, but I could not get this heater running with this hose. So I know this one works. Well, the last one that I bought from Tractor Supply has Mr. Buddy heater on it. So this one's working inside my camper, so it should work out here as well. But I will say, I am very impressed with this diesel heater here. I think the fuel tank is about 1 gallon capacity, and it's been running, I think I got the temperature set at 40 in here. It's been running all week and still has a half a tank of diesel fuel in there. So that's like a half a gallon. I've got more here as needed, but this is very efficient. So I've been very pleased. Well, it's also, this shed is so well insulated too. It doesn't need to heat it very much. So yeah, that's about it for this Shock Shack shed. The last thing to update are new projects. If we come down here to my solar panels, I got these new solar panels off Facebook Marketplace that are working really good. But if we're going to get snow, I don't want them sitting on the ground. So I think my most urgent big project next is to build some framing to keep these off the ground, and then I want to angle it at a 30 to 45 degree angle due south. So I'll probably work on that today. And then the next big project that isn't even on my project list yet is this water tank right here. I want to bury that in this existing hole. This is the little holding pond that this hole was here when I got here. I think there used to be a big tree here that fell over onto the camper, and this is where the root ball was, or maybe the previous owner dug it. But I used this for a holding pond to pump water from the lake up to here, and then from here to my tank at the top of the hill. So I need to remove this pump, dig this a little deeper, and I want to bury this tank and use a tarp strung up between the trees to capture rainwater. And since it's buried, it shouldn't freeze and there shouldn't be light getting into it, so it shouldn't grow bacteria, and I should have fresh water closer to my shed that I can use for drinking water. Obviously, once it goes through the 5-micron filter. So this is another project. The hard part of this is I want to use the tractor to dig this a little deeper, but I'm going to have to chop down some trees or something rather to get my tractor in here. So I need to plan that out. And the last thing is these chickens. Here you see one drinking water. With these freezing temps, every day when I go let the chickens out, I have to give them fresh water. So at night when I go close their fence, I take this bowl of water and I put it inside. I've got this 5-gallon bucket that I just go down to the lake and get some fresh drinking water for Duke and the chickens, and then I keep that inside the shed if it's going to freeze at night. But last weekend I did go to town. I got a bunch of 2x4s that are 8 feet long to help with my A-frame for the solar panels, but I also bought 6 or 8 12-foot 2x4s because I want to be able to have 4 of the solar panels in one row and have 2 rows of them. So if I work on this today, then I'll be using these long 12-foot 2x4s that I had to put under the tarp so they didn't get wet. But I think that's about a wrap. You can see Duke's got his bone. He likes to go and hide his bone in the leaves. That is one thing, another update. So Duke, one night we came to lock up the chickens, and Duke heard a rustle over here, and the leaves are over there, and he just took off running. He ended up chasing a critter all the way around the lake over there to a hole or a den behind that log coming out of the water. So I don't know if it was a fox, raccoon, maybe a possum, but it was definitely something trying to get the guineas or something that he heard out here. The guineas used to, at night when they were younger, perch right up here on the chicken coop, but I lost 2 guineas, and I don't know if it was a hawk during the day or a fox at night or some predator. So after that, the guineas started flying way up here in this tree. So now they mostly perch in this tree, and I did actually see them a couple days ago. They flew up to this one, but then came all the way over here and flew up into this much taller one. So I think that's another thing I'm going to add to my to-do list, is put sheet metal or plastic or something around this tree trunk so that critters can't climb up here and go get the birds. So that's another new project. Here you can see I got plenty of animals to work with. The guineas pick on the chickens all the time. Yeah, chick, 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 chick. For some reason, they don't mind Miss Hen or the white chickens, but the guineas always peck at the red ones and the black ones. Oh. They're very protective of their food, so. Yeah, that's about a wrap for the update. Lots going on at all times. You see Duke is running with his bones still. Looking for a good place to bury it. But it's a lot different without the leaves on the trees. You can hear the guinea sounds kind of echo a lot more because it goes over the lake. But a lot of leaves on the ground. It's pretty out. And with the rain that we recently had week before last, that waterfall was just really pretty. So it's nice to see the changes of the season. But that's about a wrap.